Howard Gardner, born in July 11, 1943 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, inspired by Jean Piaget to study developmental psychology, developed his theory while working with both gifted children and those with severe brain injuries.
I'm a researcher in psychology, and after I finished my training, I worked with two populations, with children, from different backgrounds and with different talents, and I worked with brain damage patients.
Howard Gardner is an American psychologist and professor at Harvard University, has made significant contributions to the fields of education and cognitive psychology. However, his influence extends beyond academia, as his valuable insights and theories have profoundly impacted various industries. He is best known for his theory of multiple intelligences, which suggests that intelligence is not a single, unified ability but rather a combination of different types of intelligences. Gardner proposed that there are several distinct types of intelligence, including linguistic, logical, mathematica.
And so in the morning I'd work with these patients, and in the afternoon I'd work with children. And what struck me was when you have brain damage, the single most important thing is where the brain damage is. Is it in the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere? Is it toward the front or toward the back? Is it superficial or deep? And depending on where you have the brain damage, you have different strengths and weaknesses. You might lose your language, you might lose your musical ability, you might lose your ability to find your way around, and so on. Similarly with kids, I found some kids were good in music, some kids were good in art, some kids were good in athletics, some kids were very good at convincing you of things, some kids would do very well in learning foreign languages but couldn't do math, some kids were great in science but couldn't analyze poetry. And I was just noticing this and was interested when I was surprised that somebody could do something but couldn't do something else, or vice versa. So this was all swirling around in my mind, and then I had the opportunity to put my observations together into some kind of a book. And at a certain point it struck me that there was something fundamentally wrong with the word intelligence. Namely, there was only one way to be smart, and we could find out how smart you were by giving you a test for an hour called an IQ test. And my big insight was that IQ testing and smart was a pretty good predictor of how you would do in a certain kind of school, the kind of non-religious, non-memorizing school that we have in the West, in the United States.
Gardner's work on the concept of good work has profoundly impacted industry practices. He emphasizes the importance of meaningful work that contributes positively to society instead of purely focusing on financial gains. Gardner's ideas have influenced companies to adopt ethical practices, prioritize social responsibility, and consider the broader impact of their actions. By aligning their operations with these principles, organizations can enhance their reputation, attract top talent, and build long-term sustainability.
Good work involves the intertwining of three features: excellence, engagement, and ethics. Good work is technically excellent. People know what they're doing. It's personally engaging and meaningful. They want to do it. They look forward to going to work. They don't dread it. And it's carried out in an ethical way. The good worker is at the same time, excellent, engaged, and ethical. If you are in any kind of an entity, an organization, institution, whatever, where everybody wants the same thing and the signals are pretty clear, you're in what we call an aligned situation. And it's easier to do good work if everybody wants the same thing.
Moreover, Gardner's research on leadership and effective teams has transformed the way companies approach talent management and team dynamics. His emphasis on the importance of diverse skill sets, effective communication, and shared goals has led to the development of more inclusive and high-perform companies that incorporate Gardner's insights into their leadership development programs and team-building initiatives have witnessed improved collaboration, creativity, and overall productivity.
Leadership Forum, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Howard Gardner.
What intelligences do leaders have, and which intelligences do they need? So here's my answer. Leaders need linguistic intelligence and interpersonal intelligence. Leaders need linguistic because we tell stories, and stories are told in language. Remember, in the Bible, Moses couldn't speak well, but he had a brother, Aaron, who did the speaking for him. So if you can't tell the story yourself, you need to have a spokesman or a spokesperson or a spokeswoman to help you communicate your story. And leaders need interpersonal intelligence. They need to understand other people well enough to be able to put themselves in the shoes, in the clothing of other people, and to see what would work with those other people. Are there any intelligences which are less likely to be helpful? My own study indicated that having too much logical mathematical intelligence, thinking about everything in a logical or scientific or mathematical way, was not necessarily helpful for leaders. They try to make things too much like simply keeping score on some kind of a spreadsheet. I have an American example. There were two American presidents who were engineers, Herbert Hoover in the 1920s and Jimmy Carter in the 1970s. They were very ineffective presidents. They would rank low among all the American presidents. But interestingly, they were very good ex-presidents. After Hoover left office, he was defeated by Roosevelt. After Carter left office, he was defeated by Reagan. They were very good ex-presidents because they could figure out what should be done in a situation and do it without having to communicate to millions of people who would vote for them. Also, having too much thinking about yourself and who you are can get in the way. Intrapersonal intelligence can be a double-edged sword. I talk about Hamlet. You all know the Shakespearean play Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question.